All right. Are y'all ready? Look at y'all. Well, good morning. I want to thank Secretary Susan Bourgeois and the entire cabinet for being here today. Look, one of the things that I said when I was running for governor was that we were going to focus on the businesses and industries that built this state. And over the last 20 months, we have consistently taken the plan that we promised the people of the state and we've implemented it. We said we were going to work on public safety. We worked on public safety. We said we were going to work on education. We did that. Each one of the things that we talked about doing, we intend to implement. I believe that the men and women that stand behind me are a first-class championship team. And the statistics today actually show that, right? Never before in the history of the state, you can go back, has there been so much economic opportunity poured into all of the different corners of this state. I go back to the Meta project up in Richland Parish. North Louisiana has never seen that type of investment. Just yesterday, Susan and I were breaking ground on Woodside's new LNG facility. The southwest corner has for a decade now seen a tremendous spurt in LNG activity. All of that is being driven by President Trump's America First policy. So if anyone out there questions what the president is doing, I tell them, come to Louisiana and you can see it right here. Never before has there been 70,000 new job opportunities. It has been over 30 something years before we've seen people move into the state rather than out of the state. And so today we're going to outline 4 new initiatives that will give our companies in Louisiana the tools, the visibility, and the support they need to compete, and to win. Because we want them to be a part of this economic success. It is integral, it is vital that they are as successful. Why? Because those men and women who built those businesses here have been here through bad government, poor taxes, or high taxes, poor roads, natural disasters, and they stuck it out. And so they deserve to be a part of the success that we're having right now here in Louisiana. And to have that success, it requires what I call a whole of government approach, because many of the cabinet members behind me will touch portions of economic opportunities. When a big project comes, they could need a permit from DEQ, from DOTD, from Wildlife, from DNR, the State Fire Marshal's Office. All of them are extremely important. And so when we work together, we are absolutely stronger. So first, let me introduce to you Source Louisiana. So sourcelouisiana.com is going to be a directory, but it's really more than just a directory. It's going to be a game changer for local business. Source Louisiana is going to be a statewide hub where businesses right here at home can showcase their capabilities, their certifications, and their capacity to do business and to fill the jobs and the services that are coming with all of the new businesses that are or new projects that are being engaged here in Louisiana. It gives local companies more chances to seek those opportunities. As I travel around the state, I meet with businesses and they're like, hey, how can I be a part of the Meta project? How can I service the Hyundai steel mill project? How can I be a part of the LNG expansions that are going? And irrespective, whether it be the microchip facility that we have up in Ruston, Louisiana, there is great things happening and people want to be a part of it. And it's hard. I don't want to have to call each one of those CEOs, each one of those contractors and say, hey, Susan's got a company and she thinks she's got a great opportunity. She wants to bid on it. So what we're doing is building that pipeline. So whether you are a small firm in central Louisiana or a growing company along the Gulf Coast, Source Louisiana is going to help open those doors. And more importantly, it's going to help keep dollars and our jobs right here at home. So then we come to the second one, which is driving Louisiana opportunity tour. So next, we're going to be hitting the road, and Susan Bourgeois and her leadership team will start to embark on a multi-day, multi-stop tour to meet directly with companies across Louisiana. And this isn't a listening tour. We've listened. This is an action tour. This is a commitment. It's a commitment to hearing directly from the job creators and industry leaders who are driving our economy and then working to plug them into this new economy. As part of LED's record-setting goal of they've set for 800 business a goal of 800 business retention and expansion visits this fiscal year. And this fiscal year is almost over. Oh, that's it. They're going to be busy. The tour will highlight the people and companies fueling Louisiana's economy while listening firsthand to business needs and opportunities, and then again, giving them the opportunity to plug themselves into Source Louisiana as well. Then, number 3, Project Lightning Speed. We're going to launch Project Lightning Speed with a new executive order. This initiative brings every state agency to the table with cabinet-level liaisons dedicated towards reducing red tape. You know, one of the things that the legislature did, we passed some great new laws that help to reduce the regulatory burden in the state. We've heard it again and again and again. It was something that I experienced as a business owner myself, was how government can be an obstacle rather than an aid in making your businesses successful. And so this initiative will help us further that. It's about breaking down the silos and streamlining decisions, making sure that projects move at the speed of business and not the speed of government. Project Lightning secures Louisiana's competitive edge and shows companies that when they choose Louisiana, we can move real fast. One of the things that Mark Zuckerberg told me, okay, when I spoke to him multiple times, he's like, my team can't stop bragging enough about how fast you all move, how easy it was for us to put this project together, how you tied in the energy needs that we had to the permitting needs, found the land, gave us the opportunities. Every time we asked a question, we received an answer. This is taking that idea and putting it into action. And then finally, 4, ensuring Louisiana participation. Look, I get it. I get it that many people around the state, and I hear it from folks. Is this a false boom? Are companies going to come here and then leave? Are they going to take from us the valuable resources and the great opportunities that we have, and at some point pack up and leave us with nothing? And the answer to that is absolutely no. From adjusting the ITEP to working toward pilot programs, we're incorporating. In fact, Richard has been so helpful in that as well. When we did tax reform, Richard Nelson, our Secretary of Revenue, in making sure that local government has a seat at the table. Local government needs to be funded because you can't build a meta site, or mega meta site, if you would, in Richland Parish and believe that you are going to staff it with some of the top people if our educational system there is not funded properly, if the police department does not adequately have the resources necessary, that the roads going to it don't have the proper funding. And those are things that we're leaning on and talking to corporations about, is that, hey, let's be partners. And so ensuring Louisiana participation in doing that program, we're going to review our incentive programs to ensure that they're not just competitive, but that they're strategically aligned with Louisiana businesses. So if we're going to give someone tax breaks, we're going to hold them accountable for using Louisiana businesses. Now, that doesn't mean our Louisiana businesses can take advantage of that. We want this to be a true partnership. Businesses in Louisiana have to be competitive, and that's important. But too often, incentives go out the door with no guarantee that Louisiana suppliers, Louisiana workers, or Louisiana communities benefit. We have seen states that have implemented these things and have done so successfully. We are taking from lessons learned there, and we're going to make it even greater. I've asked LED to explore ways to link future incentives to in-state engagement, whether that's through vendor participation, local hiring, or community investments. We are going to ask those companies that come here that when we engage in certain tax breaks or incentives, or if taxpayers are going to put money in it, because I get those questions from y'all all the time. Y'all love to ask them, well, we're putting $20 million in City Park. What are we getting out of it, right? Okay, it's important. Seed money is important to business, but we want to make sure that, again, they're not taking advantage of it. And we're going to say, hey, look, how many Louisiana businesses are you sourcing? At the end of the project, we want you to account for that. Of course, again, let me stress, if a Louisiana business is not competitive, well, then we can't expect those companies to use them. They have to be competitive, and they should be competitive because they're closer, right? So that's a difference of what's happened in the past. We want to reward companies that choose Louisiana. Not just a place to operate, but we want them to partner in the prosperity. So it's about whether it's welders that are needed up in the northeast part around the Monroe area, or engineers in Lafayette, or manufacturers in Lake Charles, or our small businesses across all the different parts of the state. We want to make sure that we become an integral partner with those companies and those corporations that are doing great work here in Louisiana and putting some great projects on the ground. So, in conclusion, at the end of the day, this is about one thing. This is making sure that Louisiana businesses have every opportunity to engage in what I had said was a new industrial South and how Louisiana is going to lead. And by strengthening those Louisiana businesses, Louisiana is going to be stronger. We look forward, this entire cabinet looks forward to working with everyone, whether you're coming into Louisiana to start a business or to put a big project on, or whether you're in Louisiana now and haven't had that opportunity. These four initiatives help to thread businesses in Louisiana to the economic opportunity that's going on in the state. So with that, we're happy to answer any questions that y'all may have. How about we start from left to right? That's easier. Wow, we did so good. Huh? Yeah, I mean, look, I think that we did huge tax reform in a special session last year that helped everyone, whether it would be small businesses or individuals. Remember, we have lowered our personal income tax. I know Mississippi gets the headlines. I can tell you, I don't know what's wrong. Maybe y'all can do a better job. But like in Mississippi, they don't get to 3% until 2030. We're at 3% now, right? So we're driving business here. When you look at our rankings, and where's Richard? Oh, yeah, Richard, you want to talk about that? You want? Huh? Okay, okay. I mean, am I saying something wrong? No, I mean, look, again, I think it's important that when you look at our tax policy in Louisiana, when we did our tax reform, we didn't concentrate on businesses wanting to come into Louisiana. We concentrated on people. We concentrated on our citizens. We lowered the corporate income tax rate as well. We got rid of the franchise tax. I really, really, really want to get rid of the inventory tax. But again, those are things that we have to have in combination with our local government partners. No, I think that Mark Zuckerberg's ability to attract people into the state is that the income tax is lower. Look, you see professionals. I can't tell you the number of my friends. Okay, now these are Louisiana citizens, Louisiana, or they were, okay, that built unbelievable companies right here in Louisiana and then fled to Texas or Louisiana to sell their businesses. We don't want that. That's what's been going on over the last 30 years. We basically had created a policy under which we exported our best to go to another state for those other states to enjoy after those people had worked so hard, the fruits of that work. And so again, our tax reform was based on trying to stop that bleeding. And it absolutely helped every citizen out there. That's important to recognize. Everybody got something out of that reform. Yes, sir. No, no. I mean, look, I read many of those articles just like you. I would think that whatever they did that they wasn't supposed to do, I'm sure they're not going to do here in Louisiana. Seems like the president's policy is working. So, I mean, I know that we continue to engage in a constructive way with the Hyundai partners. We are continuing to make sure that that project stays on its timeline and gets built. Well, like that's a pretty trick question. I mean, it's a pretty big project. I mean, when you say foreign, I don't expect anybody illegally to be working on the project. How about that? Yep. No, what we're doing is we are basically leaning into those contractors and to those companies and saying, look, this directory, okay, gives them an opportunity to see what's out there, right? We're going to eliminate any excuse that, hey, we don't know what's out there. Or maybe we hired this out of state company because we didn't know someone in the state could do the same thing. And so this takes that excuse off the table and gives those companies an opportunity to have a seat at the table. Well, look, I mean, look, let's talk about times in which the National Guard did things like that. Wasn't that long ago. New Year's Day, the tragedy that befall Bourbon Street. The, one of the first calls I made was to General Freeloop. And I said, how many soldiers can you give me? Why? Because we had to secure the largest crime scene the city of New Orleans ever had. And what the National Guard does is it gives you a force multiplier. What it does is it gives you some boots on the ground of people who are highly trained and highly disciplined. And I think that that's the overall arching message. It's not about, oh, we're sending the military. And I think the president recognizes that our cities around this country are way too violent. Okay? People say, well, this is a militarization of our big cities. Our cities are already war zones. Too many people are already dying. I mean, we leaned in on that way before in anticipation and hoping that President Trump would be and did get elected. Why? Because he supports law enforcement, right? And so again, you know, we're going to do whatever we need to stem the violence and to get our cities and our streets under control. Why? Because you can't have economic opportunity in the face of violence. And if criminals run rampant on your streets and if neighborhoods are not safe, then guess what? It's hard to educate your children as well. And so, look, I applaud what the president's doing. I think what he's done in Washington, D.C. is remarkable. I've had some discussions with many of his cabinet officials. The attorney general and I spoke. She was in Louisiana not too long ago. I spoke to the HUD secretary the other day. Why? Because I think there are other components as well. The homeless population is something else we've got to deal with. That only allows criminal elements to hide inside of that same homeless population. I mean, what's amazing to me is that y'all folks have never gone and spent a whole 24, 48 hours inside of one of those camps and seen the level of crime and abuse that goes on in them. I mean, to me, that would give you a great reason to say, hey, Mr. President, we believe that all of the homeless populations around this country should be taken care of, and that we should get these people off of the street. And so, again, we applaud the president and we appreciate any federal resources he wants to send to us, whether it's prosecutors, more FBI agents, more ICE agents, more HSI agents. We just did the Operation Violent Crime Crackdown here in Baton Rouge as well. We're going to continue to lean in there. We're going to work in Alexandria and in Shreveport, because guess what? We can't do the things we talk about. We can't talk about these great opportunities. I can tell you what, Mark Zuckerberg and corporate America is not interested in going to places that are dangerous. And so when I want them to look at Louisiana, I want them to see safety. Yeah. Well, I would never give you a timeline. I mean, I would never, why? I don't want to project to the criminals what we're doing, but don't worry. Don't worry. You will know. It's not a problem. I don't care what kind of pushback I get, because you know what? You know what the pushback I don't get? I don't get pushback from citizens who want safety. Right? That's what I don't get. I get pushback from people who live in houses that have alarms and big fences and, you know, probably safe neighborhoods. I don't get pushback from people who live in dangerous neighborhoods. Thank you.
On one of the economic development projects we recently announced have been industrial nature, like the LNG plant that you announced yesterday, the microchip packaging facility, the steel plant that Hyundai announced recently. Are you planning on perhaps making a push for projects that the general population can enjoy, like entertainment projects, mixed-use developments, and things like that that, not only in big population areas like the ones in Baton Rouge, but in other metropolitan areas like Alexandria, Shreveport, Lafayette, or Monroe, and places like that?
I don't know if I quite understand your question, but let me try to answer it this way. Let me tell you something. There's only one industry that has lifted more people out of poverty than any other industry in the world. And I've never been able to get any of y'all to refute this. And that's the oil and gas and energy industry. That industry has lifted more people out of poverty than any other one. And so what you're saying is, Governor, why are you continuing to lean in the industries that lift people out of poverty? I don't understand. You saying that the general population doesn't appreciate those. I grew up in a little town that had farmers and a textile mill before, Washington made bad decisions and they moved them all down south. And a lot of people were employed in the oil and gas sector. And those jobs sent their kids to college. Those jobs built great families. Those jobs created a bigger and stronger middle class. I'm interested in industries that build the middle class, right? And I'm also not interested in fantasies. I'll tell you something else. I'll tell you this. I'll never forget, I was in law school. I know y'all at one time we were talking about different trade zones and whatnot. And they were focusing on some of the Caribbean nations, and they were asking us to compare that to some things in the United States. And I said, look, here's the difference. I love basketball. I love basketball. And I would love to be an NBA player. But the good Lord built me, and I can't jump as high as Michael Jordan. And I got to recognize that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the attributes that Louisiana has, and we're going to make sure that those attributes fit so that our families can have great wages, so that we create great economic opportunities. That creates quality of life, public safety, education, roads. And you want to fix those? You bring jobs. I don't question what jobs come in, as long as it fits here in Louisiana and they want to be good stewards here in the state. I really do appreciate y'all time. Thank you so very much. I want to thank the cabinet for being here today. And again, this continues to be, I believe, one of the greatest stories that is yet to be told here in Louisiana. Thank you so very much.